It's a good day to have a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me. We are talking The Real Housewives of New Jersey premiere, season 14, episode 1. Listen, this recap of The Real Housewives of New Jersey is not your normal recap. I'm going to tell you right now, because what has come out on social media from Melissa's old nose, which is Gabriella. I mean, this girl has come out with the receipts, and I do mean receipts, from text messages, DMs, screenshots, emails, conversations, pictures. I mean, you name it, she has come out with it. She also told everybody what was going to happen in this episode and how, allegedly, I'm going to say, Teresa and Jennifer plant the seeds to go after John Fuda. She told you what scene. She told you how they were going to do it. And guess what? It all happened, people. This girl, I have a feeling, good feeling here, she's telling the truth, which it's disgusting. I mean, it's really disgusting. But we're going to recap it. We're going to do it right here. But before we do, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish. Season premiere, and it was a doozy, especially with everything that's come out. I have to tell you guys before we do this recap, my eyes are killing me. I have never suffered with allergies before, and I'm on the East Coast. I mean, I'm going through eye drops. I now have to take allergy medication. Every time I go outside, they start burning. It is nuts. I just thought I'd put that out there, because I can see that my eyes are burning as we speak, and they almost look bloodshot, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like, when is this going to stop? Anyway, I digress. So we start out, and you see that there was a huge sit down with the entire cast, apparently, but all we see is just Dolores sitting there at an empty table at the famous restaurant, The Rails, where they usually film. And you see the wait staff like cleaning up glass off the floor. And then a producer asks Dolores, how do you think the sit down went? And she's like, horrible. Dun, dun, dun. I'm just saying. And then they go backwards 3 months earlier, and this is where it kind of starts, you know what I mean? So we see Melissa and Antonia. She's getting ready to pack for college. She's going to the University of Delaware. Shout out to Delaware there. And, she's trying to tell her, like, you got to start packing. You got to start organizing. And Antonia's like, I'm taking everything. Okay. And then, it goes over to Marge. You see Marge. She's getting a new duvet. She's like, I like it fluffy. And her assistant, is helping her. Then you see Danielle and Nate, and they're like playing with their little girl, and she's got like one of these money machines, and he starts playing with it, and he's like, years ago, they used to call me the money man. And then we go to Rachel, and she is getting ready for a family dinner. She says that her life is always busy. It's always busy in that house. And she starts also explaining that, her parents used to live like 10 minutes away, but now they live an hour and a half away. So she tries to do this a couple times a month just so everybody can sit down and have dinner together. And she's also explaining that, if she doesn't, Nona, starts getting the phone. She gets a phone call from her like, I haven't seen the girls type deal. And I really like Rachel's family. I mean, they seem like a really good family. I'm just saying, But it's kind of funny because Rachel starts, first she starts explaining about Juliana, who I think is her youngest. And she has, I forget what it's called, but her tongue is tied basically to her palate, so she has no mobility. So they're getting ready to take her to a doctor, and she's explaining, I don't care how many doctors it takes. I want to help my child, obviously. And then she starts telling the family about how she's throwing a surprise party for Jen Fessler. It's really, her husband throwing it, but Jen and John are helping and organizing it and everything. And how she sent, invites to Teresa and to Jennifer Aiden. And I love how I think it was Nona who was like, oh, nose job, Jen, which is kind of funny. And so while she's explaining this, Nona's like, oh, I'm getting a knot in my stomach. And Rachel's like, no, I get what you're saying. She's like, I'm not trying to build bridges here. But I know Jen Fessler, she would want everybody there. And so I am inviting everyone, She hadn't heard back from anybody, but she also put Jen Fessler's email down, her husband, I mean. And so she's wondering if he got, a RSVP from either one of them. No, actually, Jennifer Aiden, I don't think had responded, but Teresa said, thank you for the invite type deal. And, then in her interview, she says, look, anybody who investigates my family, I want nothing to do with them, whatsoever. And I don't blame her, to be quite honest. I mean, you have to remember, that's how the reunion, blew off, and did he have him investigated? That's what he said on camera. Anyway, so then it goes back to Melissa, and, she's trying to still get her daughter to pack for college, and her daughter's like, I'm taking everything. And she's trying to explain to her, you're only going to have this much room. And she's like, well, then I'll shove it in there, which is, it's kind of funny, Then it goes to Teresa, and Gabriella is packing. She's going to the University of Michigan. And let me tell you something. This girl has boxes all over her room. I mean, she's still in the middle of taping them up and everything. What are you going to do with all this stuff? I'm in the middle of this as well. I've done this now. This will be my 4th time, okay? My daughter's graduating this year, and, I will be packing her up. I just packed my last one up when she went to New York last September. And then my 2 older ones, they had gone to New Jersey. I mean, I've done this. This will be my 4th time coming. These dorms are small. Do you understand? I mean, they're not getting humongous places here. These dorms are small. What is she doing with all these boxes? I mean, all these boxes would fill the dorm. You wouldn't even be able to walk into the dorm with all these boxes. So I'm kind of wondering what she's going to do with all that. And, then Teresa starts talking about how Gabrielle is the one that emailed her every day when she was away. And so she has a special place in her heart for doing that. And then we see Melissa. She pulls out, it's so funny. She pulls out these shower shoes. And Antonia is saying that, she has communal showers, which, by the way, my daughter does too. And I did buy her shower shoes, and she uses them. You have to use them when you're using communal showers. I mean, You have to. There's no other choice. Then Melissa comes into the room with Joe, and she's like, you're really going to be working that day, moving her in. And he's like, I know all about it. This is the second time I've done it, and Melissa's like, oh my God, that's right. This is the second time you've done it. And then they give you footage of, I think it was Teresa maybe doing the video at first, or maybe Melissa, I have no idea, of him moving Gia into her dorm. The person that only does things on camera. Just saying. Then you see Teresa at her house. She's having a family dinner, and she announces that the wedding album came in, and she hasn't looked at it because she wanted everybody to see it at the same time. So they all are looking at the wedding album, and I have to say, the wedding album's beautiful. These photos are gorgeous, of Louis, of Teresa, of her children. They really are beautiful photos. So she should be really happy with that. And then, everyone's cleaning up for dinner, and Teresa's explaining how she loves her blended family. They just, she just loves it. And then Louis kind of takes her over to the side, and they sit down, and he's like, last year was just, so chaotic with your brother and sister-in-law. And Teresa basically shuts him up right away. No joke. And she's like, just follow my lead. I'm the boss here now. He's like, okay. Really interesting. Okay. So then you see Melissa and Joe at their house, and they're talking about the birthday party. And she's like, I want to go. I want to go to this birthday party, but everyone is going to be there. And he's like, so what? So what, everybody's there, And she's like, it's kind of funny because, Teresa said she'd never see me again. And he's like, I'd love to see you go up and say hello to her. I mean, it's true. Like, she really thought she was in charge. She was like, it's the last time I'm going to see you because you're getting fired. Well, the joke was on Teresa. And so then, what else happened? That's right. In the interview with Melissa, Melissa was like, they were asking her, how do you feel is seeing Teresa again or something like that? And she just turned around and said, I feel nothing. Kind of sad. I mean, it really is kind of sad when you think about it. But they're still talking about the birthday party, and she's like, he's like, what, she's like, I don't know what gift to get her, and so Joe suggests, how about we get her an autographed portrait of James Gandolfino, and she's like, Joe, you can't do that. And he's like, hey, she's the one that said, she's like riding him all the time or whatever, and she's like, we can't do that to her husband. And he's like, why? She said it in front of him, and they're laughing and carrying on about it. It was kind of cute. And then you see Jen at her house. She is practicing guitar. God love her. And this is Jen Fessler. And Margaret pulls up, and she comes inside, and she's like, they all, oh my God, it's good to see you. Like, look at your legs. And Margaret's like, oh my God, I've got old lady legs, So then they walk into the kitchen, and Margaret's like, I got a birthday gift for you. And she's like, you didn't have to do that. She's like, well, it's something small. And so Jen picks out the bag, and she bought her a heart vibrator. And Jen's like, oh my God, I love this. Thank you so much. Because when I go to a hotel room, I don't have a lot of room to pack anything. So I have to use my electric toothbrush. And Margaret's like, oh, then you got to figure out how you're going to brush your teeth. And Jen Fessler says, it all comes from my body. Oh, I want to gag. Oh, I can't even believe she said that. Nasty, nasty, nasty. And then in Margaret's interview, she's saying, I'm really worried about her health. That's is why I bought it for her, because I don't want her to get like vagina atrophy, which is kind of funny, at least I found it funny anyway, but, they go and they sit down outside and, they're eating a plate of fruit or whatever. And, Margaret's saying to her, like, I have so much on my plate, it's just too much. I'm always, I'm over, it's over my head, and she's like, I'm questioning, like, who am I, because I never have time to sit and think, and then Margaret starts going to, explain that her son Brett has just gotten engaged and Jan won't be there to see him get married. And she said, it's coming up on his anniversary, his first anniversary of his death. And what she's saying is like the first couple months, she was checking on everybody else. And this happens all the time. This has happened with me too. It's when it gets quiet that it hits. And this is what she's saying. Then she realized she's never going to get a phone call from him again, And it's hard because even though they were divorced, they had a great relationship with each other. And I thought it was amazing. I mean, I really did. I thought the relationship was amazing. So rest in peace, Jan. We're thinking of you for sure. I just got this caught in my necklace. So then Marge says to Jen, how about we take you out for your birthday dinner? This was all the plan. Somebody has to take her in order for her to come to the surprise party. And so, she's like, how about, we go? She's like, yeah, that sounds good. And, she's asking her about maybe like all the girls, and Teresa's, and Margaret's like, Teresa is dead to me. When Louis called her son at his business, at his work, like, that's it. Like, Teresa is dead to me is what she said. And Jen Fessler was like, I really want to talk to Teresa about this. And Margaret was like, no, I don't want you talking to her about me. I don't want my name coming out of that woman's mouth. Like, absolutely not. And so Jen Fessler's like, okay, fine. I won't talk to her about it, And it was kind of interesting. You know what I mean? Then you see Dolores, Paulie, Louis, Teresa. They're all having dinner together. And they're getting ready to, order their food. And, Dolores says, oh, no, he can't have any Italian food because it makes him, like, deathly sick, And then she starts explaining how, I don't even know what to feed this man because all I can cook is Italian. And she said her brother went out of his way to make meatballs for Paulie. And then, he was in bed for 2 days later. And she's like, I don't understand how meatballs can kill someone. Like, it's kind of funny. She might be right. It might be all up here, And so then Louis is like, says to Paulie, when you're going to put a ring on it, And Paulie starts explaining that he's not divorced yet, that Dolores deserves a proper engagement. And so they're holding out. So then they start talking about Fessler's surprise party. And Louis says, yeah, I reached out to John Fuda. This is where it gets really crazy, too, because Teresa's like, he's such a gentleman. Now, remember what she just said, because she says it like 7 more times. Like, somebody said it to her, so now she's constantly got to repeat it. He's such a gentleman. So Louis explains how he texted Fuda and asked him to, like, meet up for coffee, and Fuda was like, I'll just see you at the party. We can talk there. And Paulie's like, that's not the place to have a conversation. This is between you and him. It needs to be outside the party. And then Dolores is asking Teresa, like, out of all the girls, who are you good with? And she's pretty much like good with everyone except, of course, Melissa and Joe. Like, she refuses to speak to them. She drew that line in the sand. And so she won't even say hello to them. And even like Margaret, she's like, I'll say hello to her, And then Teresa starts talking about how Frank Catania met up with Louis, and they pretty much squashed everything. I mean, they're not going to be like friends, but, they squashed everything. In the meantime, in this conversation, apparently, Frank Catania said, everybody met up at Margaret's house before the reunion to take you down. And, then, Paulie turns around and says, yeah, that's true, because Fessler turned around and said to them, you didn't execute the plan correctly. And Teresa's like, yeah, I heard that. I'm gonna ask her about that. And Paulie's like, you should ask her about it. And Dolores then in her interview is like, it's pretty common to have meeting of the minds before a reunion. This isn't some like big deal. But it always goes tit for tat. Now, I just want to say something about this. Listen up, people. I want you to recall before the reunion. Okay, I think it was one of the last episodes, actually. I mean, Louis had half the cast at the kitchen table when he decided to say, that Bo Dietl did investigations on everyone and he's got dirt on every single person in this cast. He said it on camera. Then he announced it at that party. Remember that? So if I was them, I would be meeting at Margaret's too. How can we stop this guy? He's like nuts, like he's insane, like, this is crazy that he's investigating people. This is unheard of in a franchise. Like, I bet they did meet up. I would meet up. Would you? I definitely would. And then, then it's Fessler's party. Rachel and Fuda, of course, walking first because they were the ones that, organized it. Then you see Teresa and Jennifer Aiden. She just got back from Italy and they are in the car together. And Teresa says, that Louis not going to be there because he has a business meeting, and in his business, he has to be able to fly like on very quickly. Tell me what business he's in, please. I don't understand. Can somebody explain it to me? And then Jen is talking about how her husband's not going to be there because he's in a, 2-hour surgery. Oh, no, he had 2 surgeries, not 2-hour surgery. 2 surgeries. You see my book flipping here. Sorry about that. Then you see Rachel and Danielle. They are trying to form a friendship. Rachel is like, I've always liked her. The time that we had together, I really did like. And so they are trying to be nice to each other, and they're getting together. And, Danielle explains, we have a lot in common. We have kids the same age. And so they've been getting together for lunch. And you see that a week before that, they were even on camera having lunch together. And Rachel explains, like, we're so opposite. It's like yin and yang, We're so opposite. Like, she's like, ding, 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 And then you see Danielle say, she's like the ice queen. I wish I could be like her. So it's kind of funny. And I hope they do form a friendship, because I think these two could be really good friends. I really do. And then it goes back to Teresa and Jennifer Aiden riding in the car. Now this is where it gets a little dark, people. So brace yourselves. So they're in the car, and Jennifer Aiden says, did you see all of that about John Fuda likes double-sided dildos? Yeah. Teresa's like, yeah, I saw it. It's like everywhere. This was one of the seeds that Gabriella told us before this even premiered that was being planted. She told us this is where it was going to be planted. She told us basically exactly what this was. I mean, I didn't even have to watch the show, basically. This is them planting the seeds. Then, you also see they go back where Teresa is FaceTiming Louis, and she's like, oh my gosh, like you're going to miss all this stuff that's going on with Fuda. He's like the biggest drug dealer, and he likes double-sided dildos, and, like it's all out there. Another seed being planted that Gabriella told us about before this aired. Pretty sure she's not telepathic, people. I mean, this is disgusting, just to let you know. I mean, you must think, whether you're a tree hugger, tree stumper, whatever you're called, whether you're on Melissa's team, Teresa's team, I'm not on any team, but this is disgusting. I'm just saying. So then, well, let me see. I lost my spot. Sorry, guys. Well, that's right. So then Melissa and Dolores are talking, and Melissa asks, how's Frank doing? And Dolores is like, well, Frank and Brittany bought a house over in Franklin Lakes. They seem to be happy, and the next thing they're going to do is get married. That's what the plan is. So Melissa's like, when are you going to get married? Like, you should be getting married first, type deal. But she goes, I feel like maybe you don't care. And then in Dolores' interview, she said, look, when I met him, I knew he wasn't divorced yet. I thought maybe it was in the process. She's like, but they've been separated 10 years. It's time. Absolutely, it's time. Then you see Teresa and Jen Aiden enter the party. And let me tell you, they're all like going by everybody. Hi, hi, hi. And the camera points to Joe Gorga while he's drinking a drink. And I mean, he is just staring. I mean, if looks could kill, let me tell you something. You gotta wonder what he was thinking while he's watching his own sister walk into a place and not even acknowledge him. You also gotta wonder what he's thinking with all this stuff now coming out. I mean, I know it kind of vindicates him a little bit, but it's just sad, very sad. So anyway, so they come in and, they even say hi to Margaret, and Margaret says hi, and she walks away, and then she turns around and says hi to Jennifer, and she's like, we'll catch up later, which I was like, and then it's Margaret and Melissa and Jackie, and Melissa's talking to Jackie about her book. She got the pre-screening of it because they're doing it on their podcast, and she's going to be talking all about the book with Jackie on the podcast. And Margaret's like, do I need a podcast to get, a copy? And of course, Jackie's like, I'll make sure you get a copy. Then, Jen Fessler is starting to get there, so everybody's quiet, because it's supposed to be a surprise. And she comes in and everybody yells, surprise, And she's like, what the? And then she says in her interview, like, she thought something was going down, but she didn't think it was this. She didn't expect her whole family to be there. She's just beside herself. And then Jen Fessler goes, let's get wasted. I love it. I live for Jen Fessler, I'm telling you. And I don't even know why she's I don't know why she's a friend of. She has proven herself. She has given all the information. There is no reason why this woman is not a full-time housewife. Because she acts like one. She really does. So, I don't know why she's not a full-time housewife. Bravo. Please tell me, because I don't understand. Then you see Teresa and Danielle and Jennifer, and they're all like at the bar or whatever. And, Jennifer Aiden says, I was really surprised that Margaret said hello to me. And Teresa's like, that's because you're my friend. And Jennifer Aiden's like, that's usually the opposite. People don't want to say hello to me because they know I'm your friend, And so then Joe says to, all the guys are together, and Joe says to Paulie, hey, where's your boy? He didn't show up today. Like, where's your boy, And Paulie, you can see he's getting like agitated. He's like, just tell me the name. Paulie doesn't get it. Like, he doesn't know how to vibe with these guys. This is how I feel. He just doesn't read them right. You know what I mean? And Joe says, Louis. And so Paulie's like, oh, he is in Florida at a business meeting. And then Fuda's like, yeah, that's weird because, he texted me and wanted to meet for coffee. And I told him, we can talk here. And then Paulie starts like lecturing Fuda, like, this isn't the time and the place for that. This is between the two of you. You should do it, at a coffee shop or something, not here. And the way he was saying it, it was almost like he was lecturing him. Like, I get where Fuda said this. It sounds like you're on his side. Paulie's like, I'm not on anybody's side. Fuda's like, sounds like you're on his side. And I think even Joe Gorga said, yeah, sounds like you're on his side type deal. And things start heating up between the guys, and between Fuda and Paulie, like they're not letting each other speak. And finally, Paulie's like, shut the F up. And Fuda's like, you don't want to tell me to shut the F up because it's going to engage to a new level. This is escalating to a different level when you tell me to shut the F up. Dolores is watching everything. She can see that all the guys are facing Paulie. And she's like, I don't know, I don't like this. And then she can hear the voices start raising and she can see Paulie's face. So she just walks over there and she's like, you guys are done talking, we're leaving. And she literally gets him out of there. Go Dolores. I mean, she is Switzerland, isn't she? So then Teresa and Jen Aiden go to Rachel. They say, thank you for inviting us. And Rachel's like, no problem. And then Teresa starts in because, that's how Teresa is. And she says, my husband texted your husband to have a conversation because he's a gentleman. Again, she says it, he's a gentleman. Rachel turns around and says, who's a gentleman? And that starts this. So then, Teresa's like, your husband's like the biggest drug dealer in Bergen County. Now again, people, I want to tell you, Gabriella said this is what was going to go down. She knew all about it. Teresa allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, called her and told her what happened at this filming. So she knew all about this. She already spilled the tea on this. Like I said, I felt like I had already seen the premiere. Again, another seed to plant. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Teresa and Jennifer Aiden leave, and they go over to the candy girl, because she's like, she has the entire table like on top of her, and all she has is candy all around her, and they're like throwing candy into this bag, and she's like, don't come for me, I'll F you up, like, don't come for me, type deal. So while this is going on, Fuda walks by, okay, and Teresa goes, hi, and Fuda's like, hi, like, he's walking over to his wife, and while he's walking over to his wife, Teresa turns around and goes, heard you like double dildos. She's like so nasty, like no joke. But again, planting the seed. This was all pre-planned. Remember this. So then Rachel's like, hey Teresa, my husband's right here. Like, why don't you tell him to your tell him what you said to me? Tell him to his face, And Fuda's like, yeah, tell me, And she's like, you're the biggest drug dealer. And you like double dildos. He's like, who's telling you that? Teresa's like, your ex. It's all over social media. It's all over social media because you put it there. Allegedly. Okay? So Fuda's like, stop coming for me. Like, why are you trying to hit me, And then she doesn't say anything, and he's like, you're just a has-been. And that's where the episode ends. Listen, like I told you, this was a crazy recap for me, a crazy recap probably for you to listen. If you don't understand what has happened on social media, I did a video about it. You can find it on this channel. It's short, sweet, to the point, but it explains everything. Let me tell you, it's disgusting. I think it's true. I think what Gabriella from Melissa's Old Nose is saying is true, because in the premiere, everything she said happened. I'm pretty sure she's not telepathic. I'm pretty sure she's not psychic. This chick's coming with receipts, and I do mean receipts. And I don't mean just like a couple. I mean, we are talking a crap load of receipts. It's just disgusting. And it ruins New Jersey. And something's probably going to have to be done about it. But they've already filmed. We're now in the season. And because of Gabriella, now we know what storyline, allegedly, Teresa and Jen are planting. But they are planting it, at least in this episode. So we'll see how this goes. But I want to know what you think, because I always want to know what you think, whether you agree with me or not. Remember, that's what makes the world go round. So make sure you comment down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here we break the dish.